this is Lori with Rock & Co Crafts. I want to thank you for joining me. In today's video, I am going to pour the Let's Resin chicken mold. This is a cute little mold. I've never poured it before. Let me see if I can kind of show you. Right here, there's just a little eye on either side, a teeny tiny beak, and I believe this is called the crown. But I want to do something a little off the wall and crazy. You know, I love putting stuff into resin, and as the title of the video kind of indicates, I'm going to use some junk food. Now, I've done this a couple of other times when I did the video going down the resin rabbit trail. I had some peppermint candies that I threw in some resin simply because I had extra resin, not knowing if it would melt or not. It didn't. And I did the candy corn pumpkin recently. If you haven't seen those videos, I will post a link to them in the description box below. But what I want to do for this little chicken is first I want to go in with some, I'm going to try to go in with some black UV so that I can put the eyes in. Well, that's one of the things. First thing I think I'm going to do is do some brushing. But I have some black and yellow. Yellow for the beak, the UV, and black UV for the eyes. And I'm going to brush in some of the metallic chrome powder red on the, I believe it's called a crown. I may be wrong. I'm not a chicken expert. And after that's all done, I'm going to mix some resin. And this is what I plan on putting in. Some popcorn. And this is just regular off the shelf from the grocery store popcorn. I don't know why, but when I first purchased the mold set, the chicken, the duck, and the chick, I thought about corn in the chicken, and popcorn is already dried, so that's what I plan on using. I don't know if it'll work. I was concerned because I do know that resin gets warm. So I did look it up, and the resin temperature when curing, and this is according to the Google AI, is between 130 and 170 degrees Fahrenheit or 54 and 77 degrees Celsius. And popcorn pops at like 356 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. So as long as I don't pour too much resin at a time, because I do use a 1-to-1, and I don't want to get a flash cure, and I don't want popped corn in here. So let me go ahead and start by I think I'm going to try to brush in first so that I can go back in with an alcohol wipe and clean up any messes after I give it a thump. And then I'm going to try to go in with the UV. So let me just put a little bit on my brush and see if I can get it down in here without making too much of a mess, because I really don't want it all over inside the chicken. This stuff is just so pretty. It is definitely still just my absolute favorite powder to use. Let me see if I can get that in there, and I want to make sure I have it on both sides. And it does appear to be, but let me burnish it a little bit. I want to just make sure I have it all in there. And then I'm going to have to definitely go back in and give it a bit of a wipe out after I thump it. I'm going to go ahead and thump it first. I just don't want a bunch of powder all over in the chicken. Let me set that aside and see about getting an alcohol wipe in there. And I really hope this turns out. I have a family member out of state that she loves chickens, and I mean, she raises the real deal. I don't. I live in an urban area, but she raises the real deal. Let me see if I can get all of that cleaned out except for where I want it at. But she is a big time chicken fan, and I think she's always been one since she was even a wee little girl. So I am actually making this for her. That looks pretty good. I'll give you a peek in there. Try to give you a peek in there. I see a little bit more powder I need to try. I don't know if that's inside or out. I believe it's inside. Now it's going to be a matter of the challenge with the UV. I just want to get that whole chicken cleaned out. I don't want little red flakes in the popcorn. It looks pretty good to me. So let me see if I can start. I think I'm going to try to start with it's just a little teeny tiny beak. It's hard to see on camera. It's tiny and it's cute. And for that, I am going to use the Let's Resin, the Let's Resin yellow UV. So let me see if I can get that down in there, and I'll give you a peek, see, after I've gotten it in there and cured. And I don't want it any place but in the beak. It's really, really hard to see in there. Let me try and get a little bit more in there. I'm going to grab my regular flashlight to take a look in there so that I can see a little bit better. It does look like I have some where I don't want it. But you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and cure it in place after I give the beak a little pinch or two. And then I will just remove. Maybe I try to do it this way. I just don't want all that excess on the chicken itself. Now let me use my flashlight again and see. All right. All right, well, here it goes. I guess we're going to find out if this is going to work or not. And then I will give you a look in here after I get the little beak and the eyes in place. I just want to make sure I cure it real well so that it stays in place. Let me see if I can't hit it from the bottom. And I know that you can't see right now. And the yellow is pretty light. I actually looked up pictures of real chickens, and their beaks aren't like or the pictures I was looking at, their beaks aren't like a bright, bright yellow. And this UV isn't real bright. The yellow isn't. I actually tested the yellow and the red UV just to see, but the red wasn't quite red enough. All right, let me go ahead and stick it in here again. I just want to make sure it's good and cured. I'm going to test it with my tool. Sounds cured, so let's go ahead and I'm going to put the lid on the yellow. And let me grab the black and see if I can get the little eyes in. It's a challenge. And I'm going to have to do one at a time so that my UV doesn't run where I don't want it. But the little face to me looks so cute. Now, what is it going to look like with popcorn? And will the popcorn work? I guess we will find that out together. And I don't know now. It's like, okay, when I go to the grocery store, oh, will that work in resin? Will that work in resin? It doesn't matter where I go. I love working with resin, whether I'm outside, in the grocery store, at the craft store, at the store. I'm always thinking about, will that work in resin? And if so, what can I do with it? So have you used any junk food or food products in some of your resin pieces? If so, let me know in the comments below. All right, let me cure this eye from this side. I think you may be able to see down there now. the little beak, and I'm working on the eye, and then I'll get the other one. And I think I'm probably going to mix, I'm going to say 60 milliliters of resin to start with, and just pour a little bit at a time and add popcorn because of two different things. I don't want a flash cure, but I also don't want to have to worry about a whole bunch of bubbles. Let me get this little eye done. I know I have my hand right in your way. But I also don't want to worry about a whole bunch of bubbling either. Now, this mold holds, when the mold itself, I'll show you in a minute. They actually put on here how many ounces it holds, and it's like 17.3 ounces. So it's approximately 511 milliliters. That's a pretty good size mold. I'm not going to use that much because, of course, I'm going to put popcorn in it, and that's going to cause a great deal of displacement. But I just want to start by mixing like 60 milliliters, add a little resin, add popcorn, and just be very cautious. I'm trying to avoid bubbles, and I'm trying to avoid a flash cure. Let me cure this from below, check the eyes, and then I think we may be ready to get some resin mixed up. I just want to make sure I cure it from both sides. Sometimes I forget to do that. Let me just check these eyes, and they sound dry. So I'm going to let you look in there like that first. That's the little beak and the cone and the eyes. And then we'll turn it this way. Isn't that just so cute? I think that's so cute. All right, let me set this down now. I am going to go ahead and get some resin mixed up, and then I will meet you back here when we're ready to do the pour. See you shortly. I think the first thing that I want to do is I do want to pour a little bit of resin down in like the little red crown. Stop for a minute there and give it some pinches and some squeezes, because I don't want to have to worry about, I worry about bubbles anyway, but hopefully this will take care of any bubbles that might be down there. And I have tried to reposition the camera a little bit in hopes that you can see what I'm doing. Let me do it this way. And now I'm going to go ahead and pour some resin in there, not a whole bunch. I mixed 60, but I don't want to pour it all at once because I actually have no idea. I don't think the popcorn will float, but you never know. Give it some thumps. I'm still trying to be careful around the eyes and the beak. I don't want to knock those off. All right, let's see if we can get some popcorn down in here. I'm just going to pour a little bit. Let me grab my little tool and try and see what's happening. It doesn't appear to be floating. And yeah, it looks like I can. First, let me pour a little more popcorn. We don't pinch this tail a little bit. This little tail out here. I don't want any bubbles down in there either. Let me see if I can get a little more popcorn so I can get it down in that tail. And then I think, yeah, I will add some more resin. Let me pick it up and give it a little flip around and look. It doesn't appear to be floating, but I definitely need some more popcorn over there as well. Let me put a little more popcorn in there because the front needs more. I hope this turns out. The idea in my head, of course, is always cool. It just doesn't always work out. I think I can safely pour some more resin, so let me do that. Let's see where we're at. I'll definitely give it some good thumps. Yeah, I think that I'm going to go ahead and finish off this part of the resin, the rest of this resin, and then I'm going to put enough popcorn that it's kind of sticking out of the resin because I don't want that straight pour line if at all possible. Let me set that aside. Give it some more thumps. And add a little more popcorn, see where we're at. Wrong side of the tool. I just want to make sure I have popcorn in there all the way. Not completely under. I do want some sticking out. Yeah, I need to add some to the back so that there's some sticking out so I don't have that pour line. Let me kind of pick it up and look at it. Wipe my mess off the top. Well, that's what, I don't know how well you can see that. That's what we have so far. Let me turn it around so you can see the little chicken face. That's so cute. That's where we're at so far. What I'm going to do is I will let this set for, I'm going to say, I'll check it for when it starts to cool down, but I'm going to say approximately 2 hours. And then I will do another 60 milliliters. I'll do that off camera. And then I will meet you back here when I'm ready to do the final pour. Yeah, I think it may just only take 2 more pours because I am using a lot of popcorn. All right, well, those are the plans, and I will see you shortly. Now, before the third pour, I mentioned earlier I was going to show you on this mold where they put the ounces. I don't know how well you can see it, but I wish they would do that on all molds. It makes it a lot easier if you're just pouring straight resin. Now, when you're doing something like this, it's just anybody's guess. I have another 60 that I mix up. I don't know if it's going to be enough or not. I guess we'll find out. And something I noticed when I was doing the second pour is, because, I do have some of the drier popcorn on top because I don't want the pour lines, that it was really spitting a lot of bubbles last time. So I definitely want to check for that. I sure hope this thing isn't filled with bubble pits. I don't know if bubbles will be a big deal. I guess I won't know unless I see them, because there's so much going on anyway just with the popcorn. But bubble pits are always a big deal. To me anyway. They drive me crazy. Oops. Sorry about that. I bumped the machine. That's the bubble remover. I love that thing. That is a major help for me. And if you are interested in any of the products that I use, I will include a link to some of them in the description box below. I'm just checking for bubbles here because they just want to pop up. And yeah, I may very well have to do one last pour. If so, I'll do it off camera because you know what I'm doing. While it's settling down a little bit, let me see if I can carefully pick it up and let you see what's going on so far. This is pretty heavy duty. I bought a 2-pound bag of popcorn. I've used more than half, or after I pour this, it'll be more than half of it. So I don't want to pour that just yet. I see some more bubbles. So yeah, it does take a lot. But it's a pretty good sized chicken too. I just want to check in there. I'm going to grab my flashlight. It just, enables me to see a little bit better in there. Looks like my batteries may be going down. Because, yeah, the bubbles are kind of popping out of the popcorn. Turn it slightly. I just don't want any bubbles. No bubble pits. Let me turn it again. And look back there. Yeah, there's one really big one back here. Okay. Well, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Let me get that turned off, and we will start putting some popcorn in and see where we're at. Just going to put a little bit in there and spread it around. Yeah, I will have to do one more pour, but I will do that off camera and then meet you when it's time for the unmolding. But just let me see how much of this I can get in there first. Because again, I don't want those flat pour lines. It looks like I can use some more back in here. And I need a little bit more up in here, so let me pour a little bit more. And I have a feeling when I get to this last little pour, I don't know. I know that with the pumpkin jar, with the curve like that, the bubbles, I had to really watch for those. I'll find out. I've never poured the chicken, so we will find out when it's time to do that pour. But yeah, it looks like it's going to require one more pour. Not as much, but one more. This is what we have so far. The little chicken. I love that little tail too. I guess we'll see how it turns out. But I'm going to let this settle down for a couple of hours like I've been doing every 2 hours. And then I will meet you back here because I'll do that pour off camera. And I'll meet you back here when it's time for the unmolding. So I will see you shortly. It is time to unmold this little popcorn chicken. The popcorn was definitely more of a challenge to me than the candy corn or the peppermint candies, simply because of the bubbles. And I am hoping right now that this thing is not just absolutely filled with bubbles. I just love putting stuff in resin, and I guess as of late, the junk food in resin. Now, if you've put junk food in your resin projects, let us know in the comments below what it was and how it worked. Let me see if I can get this out. This chicken is really quite heavy. I may go ahead. I don't usually do this. I don't really like to do it, but I'm going to go ahead and see if whoops, I missed that altogether. See if I can't spray a little bit of alcohol in there, just because this chicken is really heavy. And overall, I used probably about at least a pound, a pound of popcorn in here. And I ended up using 240 milliliters of resin. Here we go. It sounds like it's squawking. Let's see what we have here. Oh my, let me move that out of the way. Oh, you can't see it real well, but it's got such a cute little beak on it. That little beak is so cute. It almost matches the color of the popcorn. I'm looking in here. I mean, I do see, like, I see a bubble here. I'm looking more for bubble pits. Turn it around here so you can see this little eye is a little runny. I didn't do as well on that little eye as I would have liked. Maybe next time when I do the chicken, I'll just paint the eyes on. The crown looks pretty. I think it's a pretty cute little chicken. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I do want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you all for your comments, your likes, your shares, and your subscribes. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time. Thanks.